In this video, we're going to start using AutoCAD and we're going to import and scale raster images into AutoCAD so that we can use them as underlays to create the draft outlines that we will later use in 3ds Max. Now, the images I'm going to be bringing into AutoCAD are these three. The first one is the contour map that we saved from Photoshop. Next is the satellite image that we created, and these two are the same size and they align perfectly corner to corner to be the same scale. And then the last one is one that I've taken just because it has this scale bar that gives me the distance of these 2 points. So I can use that as a reference just to scale up the site to have the correct real-world scale. Now you can also go into Google Earth and they have a nice tool there to measure the points on a satellite image. So for example, you could measure the point of this pool to the point of this edge, and then you could use that to scale your image. I'm going to use this just because it's quicker and I don't have to open up another program to do so. Now in AutoCAD, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert the raster image reference. We'll start with a contour file and we'll bring that in. Next, we're going to do the aerial photo, the satellite image, and we'll bring that in. Lastly, we're going to bring in the scaling image and we'll put that next to it like that. Then what we want to do is we want to measure, or at least get the right scale for this image, knowing that we have the scale bar here. Now the scale bar is quite fat on these edges, so we can't really be too precise, so do excuse me for the lack of precision when it comes to this. In most projects you will already have a CAD outline, or at least a site plan, that will give you the correct scaling for most of the surroundings, which you can then use as a reference to scale up these larger images. Because we don't have that, I'm just going to take a shortcut way and do it like this. First, I'm going to start by creating lines and positioning them as close as I can to the middle of this. Then I'm going to offset it by 200 meters, and that'll end up here. So now I know that I need to scale up my raster image by slightly, just to get, let me just turn on the right points. Go into settings here. It's generally great in AutoCAD if you select all of these. Once you have that, you will then be able to scale up your raster image. We'll press reference. And then you will try to find the middle of this and scale it up to that line. So now you have this image being scaled at the real world scale of 200 meters. So next what you want to do is you want to get the distance between two reference points. Now I'm going to use these points here. If this image was a little bit clearer, I could get a better resolution, but just for the sake of workflow, you will get the idea. Now I'm going to draw a circle between, just to show me the distance from the center of the circle to the edge. Now you can use lines or squares or anything you like. I'm going to use a circle just because the rotation is different between the two. Now I'm going to position that circle right here on that corner. Again, I know this is not 100% accurate. And using the scale tool, I will scale from the middle of the circle, snap onto it, using that reference. And I'll grab this corner here, and I will just scale it to be there. So this should more or less, and I do again say more or less, be the right scale from point to point, which is the same as what we measured being here, point to point being at this right scale. Again, if you have Google Earth running, then all you have to do is measure two distant points as far as possible from each other, clear points if you can, and get those 2 points scaled up correctly on your drawing. Once I delete that, I know that this image is at the right scale. Then I need to move the second image and scale it up to be the same as the first one. Now I'll notice that it fell behind. What we want to do is change the draw order. So you can take this image at the top and then push it to the back. Now all of these commands that I'm using, I will assume that you already use AutoCAD, so I'm not going to spend too long explaining each command. I'm just going to run through the workflow so that you get an idea of what happens. And again, I reference scale them to the same size. Then what I like to do is, since this will be the base for our 3ds model, I would like this bottom left-hand corner to be at 0, 0, 0. That making every single point on this model in the positive x and positive y fields. So we're going to move that, grabbing this corner, and then with your keyboard, just type in 0, 0, 0, and enter. And that'll then snap that in. The next thing you want to do is you want to relayer these two images so that you can independently turn them on and off. In your layer manager, we're going to create 2 new layers. The first one we're going to call contours, and the second one we're going to call satellite. Right, so the first one is the contours. We can immediately turn that off. And the next one is the satellite. Now, to work with these images, it's better to fade them out. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click on the edge and then just increase the fade value to around 50%. And that will give you a nice dark image so that you can easily draw AutoCAD lines over and see it. Now, we're going to start with the contour image, which is this one over here. We need to fade it out as well. And once we have that, we can then start drawing our contour lines. I'm going to cover that in the next video. For now, what we have done is we've brought in the reference images into AutoCAD and we've scaled them up and they're ready to get going. Thanks for watching, and next video we'll carry on from this point.